Welcome in to the latest episode of Betting the Pitch, the European Soccer Edition. I'm your host, real_G Warner. We are 36 and 13, 73% on our best bet so far this season. Clearly, other people in my apartment complex are celebrating that great start to the year. On today's episode, we're going to go through the top five European soccer leagues: England, Spain, France, Germany, and Italy. Not exactly in that order, but something close. I just put a tweet out that should tell everyone that we are live. And it's a little bit earlier than usual with Late Night with the Real_G Warner, though there's a big college basketball slate last big Saturday of the entire regular season. Highly recommend if you'd like to seek out some picks or some leans or what I put out there every night across all sports to check out patreon.com/real_G Warner. But in this episode, as you may know, I pick out my favorite bet from each of the leagues I'm covering, and then I smash it all together in a 1 minute video on Apple Podcasts, and on Spotify is the full episode, but on YouTube and on Instagram, we will go with the ultimate best bet portion. Just a 1 minute video, kind of a summary of the entire episode if you want to consume it that way. I know it's worked for others before. So let's get into it without any further ado, and let's start where the money is. We'll start with Nottingham Forest hosting Manchester City in the opener to this English Premier League weekend. Looking at Forest, half a goal underdogs at home, a little bit more juice on Man City. Total is 3, juice slightly more to over. So Nottingham Forest and Manchester City both had tough rides, but ended up getting through to the next round of the FA Cup last weekend. And then Champions League midweek, Manchester City did not play as they are eliminated and are no longer around. With that said, Manchester City is still getting a ton of respect, currently sitting at half a goal favorite away from home. That's an automatic lean for me to the home team. I don't really have much feel for totals. I really like overs more so than unders with Manchester City because I don't trust their defense. They are going all youth team all the time. They brought on some good players and young talent. But I'll pay to see them go win on the road at Nottingham Forest, the city ground. Move next to a big slate of Saturday games. We have Crystal Palace, a 1 goal favorite to Ipswich Town. All the juice on Palace totals 2 3/4, juice all the way to under. Ipswich were the opponent of Nottingham Forest in that Monday FA Cup match that went to extra time and penalties and things of that nature. I thought Ipswich played really well, could have deserved a win. Honestly, arguably should have on a neutral field that day. Even with rotated players, I think they might have been the better team that day, but didn't work out. Now they go to Crystal Palace, who have been really hot. Really doing very well away from home this season, which is surprising. But the Palace defense has been great. The big question is the health of Jean-Philippe Mateta, who took a boot from a Champions League or Champions a championship, excuse me, Champions League, different competition run by UEFA. But the English Championship, the lower division, keeper came out, backup keeper, I believe, tried to clear the ball, and I think cleared the ball or cleared the face of Jean-Philippe Mateta with his foot, of all things. So that's a big issue if Jean-Philippe Mateta is not in there, because ultimately the drop off to Eddie Nketiah is significant, certainly different size and different type of player. Nketiah can score goals, has shown that at Arsenal, but I think we downgrade the offense. So Ipswich getting a full goal of insurance looks interesting, especially with all the juice on Palace. We might see this climb back to initial 1 1/4 I saw before. Total is 2 3/4 in this one. I'll lean under there. In terms of the next matchup on the list, we go to Brighton hosting Fulham. Currently, Brighton a half of a goal favorite at home. All the juice on Fulham away. Totals 2 3/4. Juice slightly more to under. Brighton were able to steal an FA Cup advance, as were Fulham. Fulham on the road in a penalty shootout at Manchester United. Brighton did it on the road, I think, in stoppage time at Newcastle. So both pretty impressive. Both clubs should be very confident heading into this matchup. I like Fulham here just because they've played, I think, better football over the season. Brighton have been on a really good run, really good streak as of late. But also, when you're asked to win by a half of a goal, you have to win the match. And I think Fulham can go on the road and get a result. A little bit more, or some interest in the total under 2 3/4. It's a fairly large number in the Premier League, in my humble opinion, especially for two teams that have competent defenses. I can't think of any potential absentees from the lineups here in the back line. And we've had a lot of time since FA Cup. Both played, I think, on Sunday. So Should be pretty well rested. I'll lean to under 2.75 for the total. Moving next to Liverpool, 2.5 goal favorites at home to Southampton. Totals 3.75. Juice pretty heavily to under. Juice is split both ways on the side. Big number for Southampton. They've been awful, but they do, I guess, get the advantage of not playing midweek while Liverpool went on the road to Paris and took on Paris Saint-Germain in the Champions League. Also would love, as I'm doing a project for Fenway Sports Management, if anyone would like to tell me how bad it's an idea to brand the Anfield Stadium and call it the Heinz Anfield Stadium or whatever we call it. If you think that's a terrible thing, especially if you're a Liverpool fan and you think that would get me disqualified, please send me something at the real underscore G Warner and make this podcast work in a lot of different ways for me and hopefully for you. In terms of the total, 3.75, just more to the under. That's probably the only way I could look, but I think I'm all set with fading Southampton. I do think Liverpool probably play this conservatively and look forward or toward PSG next week at home at Anfield, not sponsorship named. But I don't know that it's really tough to go to Anfield, not sponsorship named, and do anything, especially when you're the worst team in the Premier League that I can remember. Moving to I guess we have four slates of matches on English Premier League Saturday. Wow. We'll start with Brentford, quarter goal favorites at home to Aston Villa with almost all the juice. Total is 3, juiced all the way to over. This is interesting because Aston Villa went on the road to Bruges in midweek in Champions League on Tuesday. A lot of rest for them, which is good and something that they need. Aston Villa took a lead on a set piece, and then I mean, it looked like 1-1 was going to be the final, and under and the Bruges home underdog were both going to cover, and then own goal, penalty kick, and somehow Aston Villa escaped 3-1. I don't think that tie's dead, though Aston Villa at home has certainly been a lot better. They are a little bit weaker on the road. Back-to-back matches away in just a few days is a tough thing for any sort of club, any team in any sport. Brentford are going to reap the benefits as they didn't even play FA Cup as they were eliminated, I think, by Plymouth Argyle, who took out Liverpool as well. But as a favorite at home, I just don't really agree with it. We'll see what Aston Villa does and kind of feel like this line is suggesting that we might not see some players. We saw Morgan Rogers rest 2 matches ago, I think in the FA Cup on Friday against Cardiff City, I want to say. You can check me on that one if you'd like. But I think there's some value in Aston Villa right now. Certainly wouldn't want to play until we see that Ollie Watkins is starting, for example, their star striker. But I do like the quarter of a goal, and I lean to under 3 as well, which might be 3.25 before kickoff. To the nightcap on Saturday, we have Wolverhampton. As I spill water, great, good for me. We have Wolverhampton, a pick'em right now to Everton. All the juice on the Wolves, totals 2.25, juiced all the way to under. Everton have looked really good to me under David Moyes. I really like backing their unders under when they were managed by Sean Dyche, which isn't a huge surprise, especially from his time at Burnley as well. I guess in the middle of a podcast, we got a long way to go. I guess that water will dry itself. I think from a Wolves perspective, as I wear not their kit, but something that's certainly their color, I'm sure it brings out my eyes. But I think Wolves, I mean, they're improved, but man, I don't know that they deserve to be a favorite to Everton, and looks like they're trending towards a quarter goal favorite. At that point, I think I'm in on Everton. Don't really like road underdogs unless I'm really, really into it at a pick'em. So I'll lean to under 2.25 as my biggest interest in that matchup until Everton move to a quarter goal underdog. To Sunday, we'll start with Leicester City visiting Chelsea. Chelsea a 2-goal favorite, juice is split both ways. Total is 3.5, and the juice is split both ways. So not a real indicator of where this number is going to finish. I would expect Chelsea money to hit for a long time. They did play in Conference League midweek, but they've been rotating for that all season. Leicester City have been horrible, haven't been scoring goals at home. Don't trust them to do that away. So I think if anything, I lean to under 3.25, under 3.5, but I don't know that that's a huge interest for me. Move next to Tottenham hosting Bournemouth. Currently Tottenham, I pick them. All the juice on Bournemouth, surprisingly, away. Totals 3.5, juice all the way to under. Tottenham did play in the Europa League midweek, but man, that's a very expensive price on Bournemouth and actually makes me lean to the Spurs. Total, I don't have much interest with. I still don't believe in Ange ball whatsoever. Manchester United then hosts Arsenal in the biggest match of the weekend. That means very little. Manchester United, a three-quarter goal underdog at home. The juice split both ways. Total is 2.25. Juice slightly more to over. Manchester United are horrible, but this is a really big price on them. Arsenal have been really struggling to score goals until they ran into PSV or Feyenoord, PSV, I think it was, on the road in Champions League midweek, or excuse me, at home on the road in Champions League midweek. Yeah. Um, PSV, I think it was. Anyway, they blasted them, but I mean, first minute or first chance of the game, wide open net, and PSV hit the bar. So could have gone a very different way. I'm interested in Manchester United getting a three-quarter of a goal. I'd love to get more than that. I don't think we'll get there based on where this line is suggesting. Under 2.25 feels very small for an Arsenal match, but I think it feels or fits. I think it fits pretty well. Arsenal should be going all out for this matchup though, because they've basically advanced in Champions League. But I think we always see the best squads start in Champions League. So I'm curious to see what that Arsenal lineup will look like. And I don't believe in their fake striker, defensive midfielder, Mikel Merino, playing up top. To Monday, we'll move to West Ham United. They are quarter goal underdog at home to Newcastle. A little bit more juice than Newcastle side. Totals 2.75. Juice a little bit more to under. I think Anthony Gordon's suspended for this match after his violent conduct red card. We'll see because they seem to overturn things a lot in the Premier League because no one trusts the referees. I don't know why you would either, but there's no consistency, and I won't start the referee shenanigans because that'll take the rest of the podcast. I do think West Ham United are going to play conservatively here. I like them as a home underdog. I think I like under 2.75 even more than that as a way to potentially bet against the Newcastle side that to me still want to counterattack. West Ham United want to counterattack. So I think neither team want the ball here. And that plays pretty well towards a low scoring matchup. For my best bet on from England on this episode, before I smash it together with all the other best bets from the other leagues across Europe, I'm going to go with Manchester United Arsenal under 2.25 goals. It's very low, but I think it's that way for a reason. Moving now to Spain in La Liga, we'll start on Saturday, which I don't think there was a Friday match this week, which is really weird to me. But we'll see. Yeah, they got a double match on Sunday for some reason. Anyway, we'll start with Celta de Vigo hosting Leganés. Currently, Celta 1 goal favorite, almost all the juice on Leganés away. Totals 2.25, juice all the way to over. They're expecting goals in this matchup. Leganés have not been scoring at all, so I don't think it's really going to come from them. I do like the full goal of insurance. I don't trust Celta Vigo to score either. But I think I'm more interested in under here, under 2.25. Could get to 2.5 before kickoff. I do like the full goal of insurance on a team that I don't see scoring very much, and that's Celta de Vigo. Leganés, though, they're falling quickly towards the relegation zone, and they're going to have to put up some goals to try to stay in this league. I've been backing them a lot this year. I feel like with mixed results, some good results early, it's kind of been fading late. And that is, I think, probably expected for a promoted side that probably doesn't have the depth the rest of La Liga does, nor the spending capacity and such. But I think we see a low scoring match there, so that certainly caters toward underdog. Next, we'll go to Alaves, so saying Villarreal. Alaves, a quarter goal underdog at home with all the juice. Totals 2.25, juice almost all the way to over. I don't really see where goals come from the home side, which makes playing a home underdog of a quarter goal a very juiced one at that look really expensive. Villarreal, I mean, they're way more talented, have much better players, but they have not really defended this year. This is a good test for two teams that really can't do what the other is going to force them to. Or at least Alaves can't score against a bad defense. Villarreal can score against a team that should be playing defensively. I think that probably points me more toward the home underdog, but I don't know that I want much to do with this one. We'll move next to Valencia hosting Valladolid. Currently, Valencia 1.25 goal favorite. All the juice on Real Valladolid. Totals 2.25. Juice almost all the way to over. Valencia are coming out of relegation worries, but they're still in the fight. They have a long way to go to get clear of it, but they've been playing a lot better. Real Valladolid have sold players that they can't afford to sell. They look like a disaster that are going down. Played pretty well last week, I thought, against Las Palmas on the Friday match. Had a long way to recover and rest and whatever before they take the trip to Valencia. The problem is they're nowhere near the talent level. They're nowhere near, and away from home, they're just so. I mean, at home things have been going well because their fans been whistling them and basically not supporting them whatsoever. And I think making a negative home field advantage, if you can give it that. Um, If anything, I'll play this to be a low scoring matchup, but I don't know that I feel good enough about the Valladolid defense away. To the nightcap, Barcelona host Osasuna. Currently, Barca a 2 goal favorite. Almost all the juice on Osasuna. Total is 3 3/4, juice all the way to under. This is one of those, if you think Barca is looking forward or looking toward their Champions League event next week, then maybe this is a spot to get Osasuna. I do love getting 2 goals. This certainly could get ugly. And I think until we get 4 goals, I don't know that I want to play unders with Barca involved at all. Moving to Sunday, we'll start with Getafe hosting Atletico Madrid. Currently, Getafe, a half a goal underdog with more juice. Total is 2, just all the way to under. A tiny total for an offense like Atleti, though they've been seeing small totals over the past few weeks. It's and 1-1-0. It's home to Athletic Club Bilbao before coming off of a high scoring Barcelona match at Copa del Rey, and then had Real Madrid in Champions League, and then have that again next week. I mean, at some point, Atleti are going to have to rest. Getafe are a great. I mean, it's weird to see a total involving Getafe at 2, though it's very juiced at the moment. It'd be amazing to see Atleti and a total close under 2, but it's not impossible. Getafe have been seeing 1 3/4 for a lot of the season. I haven't seen a 1.5 yet, but probably might get there at some point. I don't think we're going to see a lot of goals in this matchup, so I'll lean to that under 2, and it's a vital push. Move next to Real Madrid hosting Rayo Vallecano. Currently, Real Madrid a 1 3/4 goal favorite. All the juice on Rayo. Total is 3. Juice more to the over. I like Rayo anytime they're a big underdog. We saw them go on the road and outplay Barcelona and lose by, to me, a really soft penalty that they didn't get on the other side for the same thing. Maybe it was a penalty on both sides, but one was given, one wasn't. Surprise, surprise, La Liga refs. And they have definitely been in cahoots with Barcelona for a long time. And I'm not even a Real Madrid fan, though I do think the merengue would look good on me. Anyway, I think Rayo are worth a look, even if they fall to a quarter goal downward, just towards 1.5. It's very juiced right now, 1 3/4. But I would expect Real Madrid betting money to hit, especially after a big win over Atletico Madrid midweek. Though honestly, that was 2 really incredible performance moments, and I didn't see a lot more than that. Lean to under 3 as well. I think Rayo are going to go in, sit deep, and try to counterattack, and that's the normal style that Real Madrid want. Plus, there's a huge look ahead factor towards Atletico Madrid in the second leg next week. I guess there's a party going on next door. I'm disappointed I'm not invited. Move next to Real Betis hosting Las Palmas. Currently, Betis a 1 1/4 goal favorite at home with more almost all the juice on Las Palmas. Total is 2 3/4, juice slightly more to over. So Real Betis have not been playing well. Had Conference League midweek. They'd love to be in Champions League. Las Palmas on the other side have been in a downward spiral since I don't know, Christmas of 2023. So Las Palmas have improved under a new manager, but we'll see how long that's going to last. Real Betis just to me look like a favorite. I want to fade, especially off an extra match midweek and having to win by more than a goal. Give me Las Palmas, and I'll lean to under 2 3/4 as well. To the Sunday, still in the same window, I guess same time simultaneous as Betis and Las Palmas. Athletic Club Bilbao host Mallorca. Currently, Athletic Club a 3/4 goal favorite with all the juice. Total is 2 1/4, juice more to the under. This line I think reflects the tough matchup that Athletic Club Bilbao have with Roma in the Europa League. They are hosting in Bilbao next match day, next leg, but we're in Rome on Thursday. So that does impact things here. Mallorca have not been playing well for a long time, but I still trust their defense. If anything, I like under 2 1/4 in that matchup. To the nightcap on Sunday, we have Real Sociedad hosting Sevilla. Currently, Real Sociedad a quarter goal favorite with more juice. Total is 2, just all the way to over. I don't trust either of these teams to score goals. Real Sociedad, I trust to control the game. Sevilla, though, want that as well. I think my interest is to continue to play Real Sociedad unders until they get too low for me to want to touch. So I'll lean to under 2. Don't really want much to do. Sevilla look very, very like they've been bet a lot by the market, and there's a lot of respect in the Sevilla side. Only seeing a quarter goal underdog on the road at Real Sociedad, who've been so much better for years and years and years. I think a couple seasons ago, bet a Real Sociedad to finish higher in the table in Sevilla with plus money, and it was like over halfway through the season, it felt. But I do think we see a low scoring matchup, so under 2 is my interest in that one. Last but not least, we go to Monday. We have Espanyol hosting Girona. Currently, Espanyol a quarter goal underdog at home with all the juice. Total's 2 1/4, juice more to the under. Girona is starting to get respect like they deserve the Champions League this season's roster. It was all last year. It was all a lot of different players. Savinho at Manchester City and others. Espanyol have been great at home. I really like that quarter of a goal, and I lean to under 2.25 in that matchup as well. For my best bet in Spain, I'm gonna go with that Getafe Atletico Madrid under 2 goals. As I think we probably want that number. Might be one you want to play before we lose it. We'll move now to Italy and to Serie A. We'll start in the Saturday match with Parma hosting Torino. Currently, Parma a quarter goal underdog at home with more than all the juice. So it looks like probably a pick 'em across the marketplace. Totals 2.25, juice all the way to over. Torino have been playing better, been scoring more goals. I don't know that I trust them to continue that. Lean to the home underdog in the quarter and lean more to the under 2.25. It looks like it might get to 2.5 for kickoff. Como then hosts Venezia. Currently, Como a 1 goal favorite. All the juice on Venezia. Totals 2.5, juice all the way to under. Venezia, I mean, their defense has been great lately. They can't score. So I don't know that I want much to do. It feels like the Leganes match that we talked about at the beginning of the La Liga section of this show, just one league before this one. Um, I mean, I lean because there's a correlation to a low scoring match favoring a an underdog getting a full goal of insurance and under 2.5. I think I like under 2.5 more than anything, and that's where I'll leave it right now. Move next to Lecce hosting Milan. Currently Lecce half a goal underdog at home with more juice. Totals 2.5, juice almost all the way to over. I mean, AC Milan looked like a disaster. I'm not sure how long, unless I've missed Conceição getting sacked. It's a disaster. Their late concession of a penalty against Lazio after really being behind the whole match, taking a red card, I think, and just like everything that can go wrong is. Lecce have not been great at home. I feel like they've been better away and have a great traveling support. But if there's ever a match for them to show up and try to get there, though, there will certainly be a lot of Milanistas or whatever I should call Milan fans or Milan supporters. They will be there in the boot of Italy in the Puglia region, which I think I have been to if you've listened to this podcast for a while. But I'll lean to the home underdog, Lecce getting a half of a goal, and I'll lean to under 2.5. That I probably need to do a lot more thinking, and clearly this party downstairs thinks I'm funny. Move next to Inter Milan hosting Monza, the nightcap on Saturday. Currently, Inter 2.25 goal favorite. All the juice on Monza total is 3. Juice all the way to over. Inter took care of business on the road in Champions League midweek. Missed the penalty late, which is great for my under. Thank you to Piotr Zielinski. But there are a lot of issues with Inter Milan's health right now. I don't know exactly what their plans are for this matchup, what their lineup's going to look like, but their midfield, which is one of the best and has been prided upon or has been talked about as one of the best in Europe, is leaking oil slash is missing a lot of bodies. And we'll see. They only could play Çalhanoğlu on as a substitute, and he probably would have taken that penalty and scored it instead of Zielinski. I think Monza are a disaster heading back down to Serie B after a good run in Serie A. Lost their manager, lost some players last season, then lost their manager this season, and to Fiorentina. But I mean, the descent has been pretty steep. Aline, my biggest interest under 3 goals. Looks like we might get 3.25 before kickoff. And that's where I'm at right now, though it's not a strong lean. I don't really love fading Inter, though they are certainly in they're ripe to bet against, I think, at this point. Moving to Sunday, Verona hosting Bologna. Currently, Verona, 3/4 goal underdog at home with all the juice. Total is 2.25. Juice all the way to under. Verona were really good, I thought, on the road at Juventus, but conceded a goal in the 70-something minute and then conceded another goal and then held on for dear life and didn't really attack. Thank you for the under, but if you did have the side, brutal. Bologna have been playing a lot better, scoring a lot more goals. Got a manager that seems like he wants to stick around, especially because their previous former Inter player fled to Juventus. But at this point, I think Verona are worth looking into. I'd love to get a full goal of insurance. I'm not sure we will on the early start on Sunday. But I'll lean to under 2.25 in that matchup as well. Move next to Napoli hosting Fiorentina. Currently, Napoli a 1 goal favorite. Almost all the juice on the Fiorentina side, and total is 2.25. Juice all the way to over. Napoli, to me, I want to be against them. Fiorentina have not been playing well. That is obvious, but I just don't trust Napoli to score goals. I don't trust them to win matches. I think they are a distant second from Inter in the Serie A race, but are only, I think, 1 point behind. And got a big equalizer late when Inter were just trying to hold on to win away from home and protect their net. They didn't seem like they trusted that Napoli would do it. I think Fiorentina are going to play a more open game, which does make the total a little bit more concerning. But I think Napoli unders are worth looking at the rest of the season, and especially as a 1 goal favorite, I feel like a 1-0 is very possible. You play Fiorentina side in total, and you could do better, but you definitely win one and push one in that scenario. Moving next to Empoli hosting Roma. Currently, Empoli half a goal underdog at home with all the juice. Totals 2.5. Juice all the way to under. I mean, Empoli just continues to overachieve. It's incredible. Knocking out Juventus is a huge underdog in the Coppa Italia, then following it up with a good performance last weekend. Bravo to them. Lean to them as a home underdog, certainly because Roma have been bad away from home all season. They've just been bad in general. They've been playing a lot better lately. But Roma do have the big matchup with Athletic Club Bilbao from La Liga in Europa League. So that all helps. Lean to under 2.5. Though I gotta say, Empoli have been scoring a lot more than I think anyone has expected. So it does make the total a little bit more dangerous. Moving to Sunday, we have Juventus again in the night window. I guess when you don't have any European or Coppa Italia play, you might be there. Same story for Atalanta. Currently, Juve a pick 'em right now with all the juice. Currently 2.5 is the total. Juice very heavily to under. Total certainly reflects Juventus and their style of play, though Atalanta really haven't scored much this season, I must say. So I'll lean to Atalanta to under right now because I don't want to play a pick 'em. I'll wait to see if the Juve money does hit. We get Atalanta as a quarter goal underdog. As for Monday, last on this Italy portion of the show, probably should have retweeted this on my other Twitter, on the Betting the Pitch Twitter, so I'll do that really quickly. But we'll start with Lazio. They're three-quarter goal favorite to Udinese. More juice on the Udinese side. Total is 2.5. Just slightly more to over. I think there, to me, is some value in potentially backing Udinese here. I mean, Lazio played in Europa League midweek, coming off an emotional last-second winner against Milan. Udinese, they've got a lot of problems, but they've been playing very well, and they've been scoring a lot of goals, which does make the total a little bit less interesting to me. So I'll put Udinese three-quarter goal underdog on my list for that one. As for my best bet from the Italian Serie A in this episode, I'm going to go with Empoli half of goal underdog at home. I think that's the best case scenario to take advantage of potentially some weary Roma legs, and considering how bad they've been away from home. Two leagues left to go. If you would check out my Patreon, patreon.com/real_G Warner. That's best spot to get all my plays across soccer, of course, and the college basketball season. Also, we'll be doing exclusive content on there with the NCAA tournament bracket. If you got any questions or things that you'd like me to specifically look at, please holler, and I will work that into my schedule next week. We'll start in Ligue 1 on Saturday with Rennes hosting PSG, coming off their big match with Liverpool at home in Champions League. Rennes currently three-quarter goal underdogs at home. More juice on PSG. Total is 3, just all the way to under. Feels like so Rennes used to be an all-out attacking, goal-scoring team. They sold off all their young talent and have been through 3 managers this season, and seem like they have found one who's stabilized their team. PSG certainly will be looking toward Liverpool because they care about Champions League and are way ahead in League. I think that puts Rennes in a really great position. I would love to get a full goal of insurance, though, and we don't have that yet. Lean to the three-quarters of a goal. Don't really want to play a total with PSG. Lille then hosts Montpellier, also looking toward Borussia Dortmund in the second leg, 1-1 draw on the road in Western Germany. Big for them. Montpellier are coming in currently 1.25 goal underdogs at Lille. Total is 3, juice all the way to under. More juice on the Lille side. Montpellier are too tough to trust, I think, offensively. The only thing I could probably get behind is an under here. It's very juiced at the moment. And if we lose the 3, I'll probably skip. Moving to the nightcap on Saturday, Marseille hosting Lens. Currently, Marseille 1.25 goal favorite. All the juice on Lens. Total is 3, juice slightly more to under. Now, Marseille were great away from home all season. They've been better at home as of late. And Lens, I think they're leading Liga in red cards, which is probably something that should change, but I think it also speaks to some ill discipline. And it's a lot of questions about Will Still, who is awesome at Stade de Reims, but has not been so talented at Lens. I think biggest interest for me is the Lens defense traveling, which makes me want to play under. But I think I'm more interested in the Lens 1.25, though fading Marseille on the road does not feel good to me. So I think I skipped that one. Moving to Sunday with Stade Brestois hosting Angers. Currently Brest a three-quarter goal favorite. More juice on the Angers side. Totals 2.5, juice more to the under. Now both these teams crashed out of Coupe de France in different fashion, to say the least. But I think both at home, as the peanut gallery is getting loud down there. Angers is the side I want here because I think that they can score goals on anybody. Brest are certainly more accomplished, made Champions League this year, already out though after getting thrashed by PSG. Though I think it was still a win for them this season by far. Just qualifying was good enough. Not getting relegated is probably all they care for. But Angers have been really good. I thought we're in a match last week and maybe didn't handle the Coupe de France heading into Liga very well, though they did rotate for Coupe de France and went to penalties and lost there. And to me, a Toulouse match that was very close. Then all of a sudden they fell behind and they lost 4-0. So I think we got some value on an angry, maybe motivated Angers side. Certainly motivated because they want to stay in the league, a newly promoted side. But I like three-quarters of a goal, and I hope we get a full goal of insurance before kickoff on Sunday. To the big window of matches on Sunday, I guess afternoon here in the United States, we have Nantes, a pick'em to Strasbourg. Almost all the juice on Nantes, which is a bit of a surprise. Totals 2.5, juice all the way to under. Strasbourg's defense has been a lot better lately. I think that's why we've seen them climb up in the table. I think I want to say they were seventh entering last weekend, which is a lot higher than anyone expected, at least certainly yours truly. But they do have all the talent. They're basically a Chelsea feeder club at this point and have a lot of money there that they might have not have had before. I'm waiting to see Strasbourg move to an underdog. Nantes are a team I like to back, but not as a favorite. I guess I lean to under 2.5 if I got to put something down in this game. Move to Le Havre hosting Saint Etienne, a pure battle of relegation sides. Le Havre have been a lot better. Saint Etienne, newly promoted. Le Havre have at least one season in Liga under their belt since Ligue 2. Currently, Le Havre, a quarter goal favorite at home. Almost all the juice on Saint Etienne. Totals 2.5. Juice pretty heavily to over. I think that reflects Saint Etienne's really horrible road defense. Le Havre has not been defending great, but they keep pulling out these incredible results every time I get out. They play really well and they suck me back in. But I don't want them as a favorite here at home, even against a really rough Saint Etienne. Maybe at Pick'em. But until then, I don't think I want much on this matchup. We'll move next to Reims hosting Angers. Currently, Reims, a Pick'em with all the juice, was quarter goal favorite earlier in the week. And I like Angers as a quarter goal underdog. We don't have that yet. Reims are in real big trouble. They did get past Angers in penalties in the Coupe de France, but were controlled the whole match, I felt. And as a favorite, I want to be against them. Angers, I think, have been playing really well. Took a tough loss last week, 1-0. Against Strasbourg, I believe, who are probably even higher than seventh at the table now that I think about it. But that's the side I want, and we don't have any quarter goal just yet. To the nightcap, Nice hosts Lyon. Currently, Nice, a quarter goal favorite with all the juice. Total is 3, juice all the way to under. And Nice benefit from Lyon playing in Europa League midweek. I think that keeps me a little bit more on the sidelines from backing Lyon as a quarter goal underdog than I would be. But that's the side I want. Nice have not played good defense all season, so I'm not going to play a total here, especially because Lyon want to score. And if you didn't see Paulo Fonseca getting the face of a referee when he thought that he was going to give a penalty and ended up calling an offside and nullifying any sort of gift to the other team, he'll probably be suspended for like a month, though. So we'll see what happens there. To the German Bundesliga, before we get there, though, I got to give out my best bet in the Coupe, actually not the Coupe de France, in Liga. Coupe de France will come later. I'll go with the Angers three-quarter goal underdog, road underdog there. To the German Bundesliga, where I've been really hot until last weekend and then had a really great Sunday and kind of missed the start of a match, which was brutal. But we'll start with Bayer Leverkusen off of a terrible, embarrassing performance in Champions League to Bayern Munchen. Currently, Leverkusen a 1 3/4 goal favorite at home. All the juice on Werder Bremen. Total is 3, juiced all the way to over. Werder Bremen have been playing horribly too. So how does Leverkusen balance the dismay or the embarrassment that comes probably from trying to destroy Werder Bremen, but they haven't done it in so long that it's really hard for me to trust it. Total and side are way big, or side is way bigger than I expected. So I'll lean to 1 3/4 and lean to under. Of course, they're correlated. Move next to Holstein Kiel, coming off their first road win ever in the German Bundesliga. And I was so close to playing them and the under and ended up skipping the game. And of course, they win 1-0 on the road at Union Berlin. Well, now they get another chance. They're 1 goal underdogs of VfB Stuttgart, surprise second place finisher in last season's Bundesliga. Total is 3 on this one, just all the way to over. I lean to Kiel, getting the 1 goal at home, and I lean to under 3. The problem is Holstein Kiel's defense, backing them after a really big performance that's got them off the bottom or the foot of the Bundesliga table. I just don't really trust Stuttgart at this point. They've not been playing well and really just handed goals away to Bayern Munchen last weekend. Speaking of Bayern, they're 2.5 goal favorites to their fan friendship club, which is super weird to me. But 2.5 goal favorites to Bochum, totals 3 3/4, just a little bit more to over. Bochum have been playing well. They got some ridiculous tribunal to give them a victory on the road at Union Berlin because their goalkeeper got hit in the head with a lighter and they passed the ball around to take a draw, which did pay out, thankfully, on that match day. But got 2 free points, which seems really, really ridiculous. And I think really will change the relegation picture a lot in the German Bundesliga unless Bochum are somehow able to just go on a big winning streak and go take Bayern out in Munich. But at this point, I think Bayern are in a great position, up 3-0 in Champions League. They don't have to take this match as seriously. I'm sure they rotate, and they've got a big lead in the Bundesliga as well. So nothing really is adding up here for Bochum. Sorry to them. Moving next to VfL Wolfsburg hosting St. Pauli. Currently, Wolfsburg a 0.5 goal favorite at home with all the juice totals 2.25 juice all the way to over. Small total in the Bundesliga. We don't see 2.25 very often, but we did get a goalless draw last weekend with Augsburg and Freiburg. I think Wolfsburg continuing the Bog theme. They're going to be the home favorite that's not going to want the ball and want to. And St. Pauli are just hard workers. So I don't see where goals come from in this one. It's probably hard to back St. Pauli because they can't score goals. Only getting a half of a goal. There was 3/4 of a goal earlier, and that does offer some protection on a single goal loss. I think under 2.25 or under 2.5 is my biggest interest in this one. Moving next to Borussia Dortmund hosting Football Club Augsburg. Currently, Dortmund a 1 goal favorite. All the juice totals 2 3/4, just all the way to over. Augsburg are not a good offense, but they defend very well, and they usually create their offense from turnovers. And I think putting the Borussia Dortmund backline under pressure is the way to do it. We saw Dortmund have a controlled first half and look very good against Lille in Champions League midweek. They do have to go to France in this week, but then showed nothing in the second half. We've seen Niko Kovac turn really defensive with leads in this competition, or in the Bundesliga, which Dortmund have been like grasping for any sort of positive momentum. I think biggest interest for me here is the under 2 3/4. We'd love to get the push on 3, but lean to Augsburg getting a full goal of insurance, which might get to 1.25 as well. We'll next move to the top spiel on Saturday. Sports Club Freiburg, a pick'em with all the juice right now. Totals 2.5, all the way juiced to over. And they're hosting RB Leipzig, who's been a team that's killed them for years and years, but this is not the same Leipzig. They've underachieved in Champions League, in Bundesliga, and honestly, Freiburg are ahead of them for the Champions League race right now for next season. So this match means a lot. If there's ever a time for Leipzig to show up, it's probably here. Freiburg have a great home field advantage environment. I lean to them as the pick 'em right now. We'll see if this actually moves to a quarter goal favorite at home. Then maybe I'm more interested in Leipzig, but I'll also lean to under 2.5. Freiburg haven't conceded a goal in a very long time, and Leipzig just aren't really doing much offensively. Moving to Sunday, Eintracht Frankfurt hosting Union Berlin. Frankfurt, a 3/4 goal favorite with all the juice totals 2 3/4 juice all the way to over. Union Berlin are probably rocked. They got deducted a point, which I guess isn't that big of a deal, but could matter in the pushes them in further closer to the relegation positions, or at least that relegation, the relegation playoff, as they call it in the German Bundesliga. I don't really trust them at all to score goals. I don't trust Eintracht Frankfurt's defense, but I think I trust their defense more against a team that can't show anything offensively. The big question is how many the Eintracht Frankfurt score. I think that puts me more into the camp of playing under 2 3/4, potentially 3 if it gets there, rather than the side. And last but not least, Hoffenheim hosts Heidenheim in a battle of H's that are at the bottom, circling the drain of the German Bundesliga, though Heidenheim are, I think, at the foot of the table now. Hoffenheim 3/4 goal favorites, all the juice on Heidenheim away. They're no longer in the conference league, so this will be the best rested they've been all season. Totals 2 3/4, just all the way to over. Hoffenheim out of Europa League as well, I must say. I don't trust Hoffenheim as a big favorite. I lean to Heidenheim. I would love to get a full goal of insurance. Doesn't look like that's going to happen. I lean to under 2 3/4, though Heidenheim are more of an offensive team, I think. I just don't really trust Hoffenheim, and it feels like the German Bundesliga thinks that they've fixed their problems just because they won a match at Bochum, which felt very fortunate. But for the ultimate best bet, I got to select one from the German Bundesliga, and which has definitely been my best. Start of the year crushing the English Premier League. I've been really good in the Bundesliga until last weekend. Hopefully trying to eventually finish all leagues equally in the positive, but it's a long year and still have a long way to go. I'm going to go with Union Berlin under 2 3/4 as my best bet in that matchup. So thanks of you that have been live with me today. If you're listening on delay, if you're on Apple Podcasts or on Spotify under the Betting Pitch name, please leave a 5-star review. It's huge for the search rankings. And if you got any comments or questions or things you'd like me to cover, especially in the college basketball notes that are coming up and episodes and such that will be coming out, there is a college basketball episode out for tonight. It's covering the Saturday, March 8th card with at Big East Ben. That's under pregame now on Twitter or the straight at RJ Bell stream preview, I think, on Apple Podcasts. But go check out Betting the Pitch. That's the best place to do it. And then if you want the 1 minute videos plus also the full YouTube edition or full edition will go to YouTube. Go to at the real underscore G Warner. Plus, I think if you want to look at the 1 minute reel version, if you're an Instagrammer, at the real underscore G Warner will get you done there as well. So I guess it's time for the ultimate best bet. So let me get my camera in place. And this is going to look really official with a big microphone in front of me. But I guess that's what we're doing now. So hopefully that will matter. Got to fix the hair a little bit. And let's get into it. Let's get into it when I have the screen big enough. Oh my gosh, I don't have it yet. Okay, let's go. Hey, this is real underscore G Warner on Instagram, Patreon, Twitter, and on YouTube. This is the ultimate best bet. We are 36 and 13. You know what that is? That's 73% so far this season. Try to keep that record alive or at least grow it a little bit bigger. 36 and 13 year to date. I give out my favorite pick from each of the leagues I cover on this episode. This is the top 5 European soccer leagues version. From the Premier League, I like Manchester United under 2.25 goals. In La Liga in Spain, I like Getafe under 2. In Serie A in Italy, I like Empoli, a half of a goal underdog. In Ligue in France, I like Angers, a 3/4 goal underdog. In the German Bundesliga, I like Football Club Union Berlin under 2 3/4 goals. But for the ultimate best bet on this episode, I'm going to go with that Manchester United Arsenal under 2.25 goals. Check out my Patreon, patreon.com/real_G Warner for more detail on it. But I just feel like we got two big clubs with big names, big fan bases, and not a lot of goal scoring. So under 2.25, Manchester United hosting Arsenal for the ultimate best bet, 36 and 13 so far this season. That'll do it for this episode. Thank you all for tuning in. Full versions available, Betting the Pitch on Apple Podcasts and on Spotify, at the real underscore G Warner on YouTube. And of course, for the Real and YouTube Shorts, hit at the real underscore G Warner and leave some reviews. 5-star reviews would be huge. And if you want anything college basketball related, go check out patreon.com/real_G Warner.